Hey everybody, welcome to Princess Friend. I'm your host, Princess Friend. Today we have an interview that Stone Blake did with Michelle Streitz. Now, Michelle was part of the design team for the Lovesexy tour and was responsible for doing many of the wardrobe and props that Prince had during that tour. It's a pretty cool interview, and I think that you'll really enjoy it. If you want to stay in the loop, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you are notified directly whenever we put out a new video.
Welcome to Prince's Friend, everyone. My name is Stone. I am with Michelle, who was actually involved with designing some of the wardrobe for Prince for the Lovesexy tour. And as you all know, we're celebrating the 30th year of Prince's 10th album, Lovesexy. And we're in Michelle's studio right now, actually. We're going to have a little conversation. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Before we get into the Prince connection, let's talk more about who you are.
Okay.
And what brought you to doing the line of work that you do.
Well, I have an art degree, and I was always interested in doing galleries and working in museums. And my first job out of college was working for the Minneapolis Institute of Art. And through the years, I just continued working there and at other local museums. And I also went back to school in education, and I did some teaching in the schools as well.
Okay. So you from the Twin Cities?
I originally am from St. Cloud, but
Okay.
I've lived in the Twin Cities for a very long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long have you had your studio here?
I've had it for 5 years now.
5 years now. And just so you guys know, we're in the Solar Arts building, Northeast Minneapolis, second floor, if you ever want to come by and visit Michelle. So let's talk about where you were at the time you were presented with this opportunity to work with Prince, and what pretty much led you to that opportunity.
Okay, I was working with a friend out of his studio, Russ Belk. He has a business called Museum Services. I had worked with him at the Minneapolis Institute of Art as well.
Okay.
And he knew Helen Hyatt, and actually I had worked with Helen Hyatt as well at the Minneapolis Institute at my first job. And she came to Russ and was working for Prince at the time in 1987, and asked Russ if he could have the people in his studio work with her and make things for the Lovesexy tour.
Okay.
That's when it started.
All right. I recognize Helen's name from the Lovesexy tour video. She's actually on the credits as wardrobe. I don't know if she actually went on tour with the wardrobe and was like the wardrobe master, but I've never seen her.
She did, yes. She was the main designer for Lovesexy.
And was this in 88? 87.
Yeah, but that's when we started and worked into 88.
Okay. So did it take you a long time to get all of this going? Was it a lot of hit and miss?
Yeah, there was a lot of practicing, and I've actually got some examples of some of our practice pieces that we did. But there was a lot of trial and error trying to decide how to make things. For instance, the cane that we made for Prince, it was the glitter cane. We were brought this toy, this wand that Prince loved, and said he wanted a cane made out of it. And I actually have the actual wand in my case over here. And he wanted us to design a cane that would have glitter in it, sparkles that moved. And so we did a lot of testing, and finally came up with a final product, and he loved it. So
cool. So I know Prince pretty much had a theme in his music at the time, and it was also complemented by his fashion. Pretty much every album he put out, you would see that look for the rest of the year, for the tour, starting with, even with the Prince album, him being shirtless on the album, he would perform shirtless. When Dirty Mind came around, he introduced the trench coat, with like the bikini underwear, and that's all he would perform in. Same thing with 1999 and Purple Rain. What you would see him wearing on the album covers was pretty much what he would wear on tour. Now with Lovesexy, he's butt naked on the album cover.
Right.
And so there isn't a fascist sense that goes along with the tour based on the album cover because he's not wearing anything. So did he pretty much come up with ideas here and there what he wanted as far as the wardrobe, the look, the accessories, and then you guys added to it? Or did you guys pretty much come up with ideas and bring it to him for the yay or nay?
Everything was brought to us through Helen.
Okay.
It was all decided with her and Prince and whoever else was in wardrobe out at Paisley Park. Since we were separate, the ideas came to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you would get a memo and they say Prince is looking for something like this. He has an idea for something like this. With the heart-shaped mirrors, how did that come about?
That had already been started with the tour before.
Lovesexy? Was it
Before
the sign of the times?
Okay. Yeah. And
oh, that's right. I think I did.
yes.
Yeah, that was Sign of the Times.
Sign
Yeah.
of the
So
Times,
he
yeah.
pretty much continued on with that.
with the hearts, yeah.
Yeah.
And then also diamond shapes.
Yeah. With Sign of the Times, he was going for this whole peach and black thing. That was like his color scheme of the moment. And then when Lovesexy came around, it's all these polka dots.
A lot of polka dots.
What was going
yeah.
on with the polka dots?
I can't tell you that. I don't know. I'm sure there is something, but I personally don't know what it is. But it's definitely part of the Lovesexy look. Yeah.
It was the last of the very patterned look to his wardrobe.
A lot of bright colors.
Yeah. And then afterwards, I believe he went on to do the Batman soundtrack, and after that, he went into his MPG days. And then that was just a totally different look than anything he did in the 80s. He was officially in the 90s. Did you guys get into designing anything else for any of the band members?
We also did the heart bracelets and diamond bracelets for Kat and Sheila. We made kind of a leg bracelet for Sheila E. It was just this big metal shiny thing. I have not seen it in any photographs. I'm sure it's out there somewhere.
Okay. And was that Prince's idea?
I think it was Sheila E.'s.
Was it?
I think, but I'm
Oh.
not. I can't say for sure.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sheila and Kat both wore some really funky things during that time.
Right.
Like, you know, something with like one long leg here, and then it was like almost like the bikini side over
Yeah.
here, something like that. Was that through Helen too?
Yes.
So
Was all-
pretty much the whole band. And you guys pretty much had to come up with things that were going to last throughout the whole tour.
Right.
And the Lovesexy tour wasn't really that long.
Right.
He went overseas first. I think he went to Milan, and he was in Germany and, you know, Japan and stuff like that. Then he came to the States. The first two shows he did when he came back to the States were in Bloomington, here in hometown. And then he went around the country a little bit, and I think he went to Japan after he left the U.S. So any interesting stories you could tell us about your time?
Well, I do remember there was a time when he said he needed a lot of canes made, and I think it was when he was in Japan, and he was throwing the canes to the audience, and so we had to make several of them.
Okay.
So
Like maybe hundreds or something like
no,
that?
not hundreds. I think it was around 30, but I can't remember. I was working with a college friend at the time. We were doing it together, which I haven't yet mentioned. His name is Tom Briggs, and and he did a lot of the work on the canes, and he doesn't remember exactly either. We had a little discussion through social media, and I think it was around 30 that we made for Japan. Maybe a total of 35 altogether.
Yeah, I used to throw tambourines in the audience. So he's probably throwing out, you know, the ones instead. You ever You ever meet him?
Never in person. I've
No.
been very close to him when he was putting on little private shows here in town back during that time. Of course, no social media back then, and I did hear, and maybe it was through Helen, I can't remember who told me, but I ended up at some small venues in Minneapolis, probably no more than 50 people in the shows, and I remember one of the shows, I went to the door and there was somebody guarding the door, security person, and I came up to the door and said, sorry, you can't go in. And I said, but I made Prince's glitter canes. And he goes, yeah, right, sure. And I was like, I did, I made his glitter canes. And he goes, okay, go on in.
Yeah. Because he's thinking, okay, who would use that to get in? Who would use the glitter canes to come in?
So I remember sitting in this very small venue and being not more than probably 5 feet away from him, you know.
I would have went over to him and said, you know, I made those canes. Just so you know, I'm the one who made those canes for you, but I'll leave you alone now. But I did those canes.
Yeah.
Do you ever see him at Paisley?
No, I went to a few shows, but never went out to Paisley.
Do you plan on going to Paisley?
Oh, well, I've been since he died.
Yeah.
I never went to any of the shows when he was alive. No.
Isn't there a Lovesexy room?
Yes.
In Paisley? What do you think of it?
It was pretty exciting seeing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there is one of the hearts that I made, or somebody in my little group, Tom or myself.
Nice. Just a little piece of you in that history. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you recently went to Amsterdam?
Yes,
Was that?
I did.
And you got to catch
And I saw My Name is Prince, and it was really exciting. And I hadn't actually planned on it, but my flight was delayed, and so I got to run into Amsterdam and see the show.
That's pretty cool.
It was really great to see.
Yeah, they did justice by him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
I always wonder. I'm just like, I hope they're representing, and they're not putting wrong names in wrong places
Very
and
well
getting
done.
dates mixed up. Yeah. You're celebrating Lovesexy. You're having a party next week
Yes.
on the 6th.
On the 6th.
Okay. There should be some pretty interesting people here.
Yeah, I hope so.
There's a couple people I wanna meet that's gonna be here. So like Troy. Yeah.
Well, Troy actually isn't coming, but I do have his artwork here. Troy Gua.
He's not coming.
No.
I messaged him the other day and he said, oh, I look forward to meeting you and everything. And I was like, nice. So.
Well, maybe he is coming.
Well, when did you talk to him?
I actually haven't talked to him recently.
Okay, so maybe he is coming.
Maybe.
I'm gonna message him later on and be like, are you sure you're coming to Minneapolis? Like, are you gonna show up? Like,
Wouldn't that be exciting? Oh my
that would be pretty cool. These are definitely new. I haven't seen these ones yet.
This one he made especially for this show.
Nice. I like the reflection of the mirror.
Yes.
It looks pretty cool. Yeah. And that's what, Alphabet Street music video? Where he talks about driving his.
I thought it was Lovesexy.
Yeah. Well, Alphabet Street's on Lovesexy.
Okay.
Yeah, and the cars in the video. Yeah. Actually, this piece right here actually looks better than the whole video.
Yeah,
the video is
amazing. I love his work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, I miss Prince. I'm pretty sure you were devastated when you heard of his passing.
I was so upset. Yeah.
It was unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I couldn't sit down. I couldn't settle down. I did go down to First Avenue that night. It helped, and
yeah.
yeah.
It was like you had to go somewhere. It was First Avenue. I didn't even take the trek all the way up to Paisley Park. I just got off work, went home, changed, went to First Avenue, and stood outside for almost 3 hours, waiting to get inside First Ave.
Yeah.
And then when I got in, I didn't really feel that much better.
I know.
You know, so just hung
I
out.
couldn't go to Paisley Park for a year and a half after that. I just couldn't do it.
I don't know if I can again. I don't know. I have too many great memories, you know.
Yeah.
I want to see what they did with the rooms, you know, and I kind of want to see the layout of Paisley Park, 'cause I've never really been beyond the the soundstage or the studios, but it's like I don't want to associate that dreadful memorial thought of him when I have better memories in the past of being there, you know.
Right.
So.
Well, I went with my friend Sue Siegel, whose work is in the gallery too. She worked on Purple Rain, on wardrobe for Purple Rain, and we went together, and we both were feeling like, oh, you know, can we really do this? And we did, and we were pleasantly surprised. It was a good experience.
Yeah.
It turned out to be a happy experience for us.
Good.
A celebration.
Good.
Thing, so.
Well, maybe I will check it out. We'll see. Maybe. So, what do you do these days?
I work in my studio. I make pottery at home. I make jewelry. I make silver jewelry. And lately I've been making some remakes of some of the things we made for the Lovesexy tour, coming up to sell at the show.
Okay, next week, the show next week. Okay,
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. One last thing I have sort of as a centerpiece. This was a note that Prince wrote to Neil that I just think is so appropriate for these times. Thanks for telling the truth. Love God, Prince. And he gave that to Neil after he wrote the Rolling Stone article. But so appropriate for these times.
Yeah.
And I just want to thank Michelle for being on the show and for being available for us to go ahead and do an interview with her. And also thank you to Stone for going and actually doing the interview. The event that she threw at her own place was in September, so it took us a little bit to get this interview out. But if you wanted more information about her studio, you can definitely go check it out. And otherwise, don't forget to follow Prince's Friend on Twitter and Instagram. And may you live to see the dawn. Thank you to those of you who actually watched the end of the video things here. On that side are links to the Patreon and to the subscribe. And below me is the latest video that we've done, as well as one that is picked special for you. Because you're a special, special snowflake and we love you. Thanks for sticking around.